We're going to keep talking about the president's recovery from... You're so excited, aren't you, Jeffrey? From coronavirus with our medical expert, Dr. Kohli. What a great person to have on right now. She's the Audrey Hepburn of the medical field. Welcome, doctor. We want to ask you specifically about the medicine that President Trump is taking. So we're hearing that he's taken steroids and experimental drugs. What do you know about this?
So we know that he's taken 3 different medications for COVID. The first is this experimental antibody cocktail, neutralizing antibodies that we talked about last week. So essentially what those do is they inactivate the virus and prevent it from replicating, and they're helpful when given early in the disease. The second is remdesivir, which is an antiviral that also prevents the virus from replicating, also helpful when given early in the disease. The third is dexamethasone, which is a steroid that turns off the immune system, the response. And that's what's interesting about this, because that's usually given later in the disease, because early in the disease, you want the immune system to keep the virus in check. It's only later in the disease, when the immune system starts overreacting, that you want to turn it off. So it's a little confusing why all 3 of those are being used at the same time, but certainly the president's doctors are weighing in on this decision.
So, Doc, are any of those treatments you just mentioned, that I will not repeat, are these types of treatments available to the public?
So, remdesivir and dexamethasone have both been approved for use in severe COVID-19 infection, but not in outpatients or in mild infection. And the experimental antibody cocktail, until last week, we had very limited data, so that was not available to anybody. It wasn't even under EUA from the FDA. So that one had to undergo compassionate use approval in order for the president to get it. And what I find really interesting is that the president is the only patient in the world, to my knowledge, that has received this combination of medications. So we really are in uncharted territory here.
Wow. I want to just ask you really quick before we let you go, how severe do you think the President Trump's illness is based on the medicine he received? And if he has been fever-free since Friday, isn't that a great sign? I just really want to know your take on the timeline. I'm from D.C., and it smells fishy to me about the 72 hours, and the doctor says it wasn't 72 hours. I'm not saying it was a cover-up. I'm just saying it smells a little weird. What do you think?
Tori, there are some inconsistencies, but there are some clues we can pick out. So one possibility is that they're using the kitchen sink approach. He's the president of the United States. We're using every medication we've got, medications we use early and late, all mixed in together to see what happens. But the second possibility, which I think is more likely, is that the president's illness is more severe than they're letting on, because these medications have side effects. So we're not going to use them willy-nilly, especially in the president of the United States. And remdesivir and dexamethasone, we both know, are really reserved for more severe cases of COVID. And dexamethasone, if given to people who have mild infection, can actually make the problem worse and cause harm. And it shouldn't be given early, like I said. So all of that tells us that the president may be in a later stage of his illness than what we know. And he may also have more severe symptoms or more severe concerning findings than what we're hearing from his doctors.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for sure. I think the doctor's performance, or the press conference at first, did not go very well after we asked about the oxygen and then asking. And I texted you, and I'm like, what is going on? So thank you for being
You mean the government wasn't telling us the full truth?
What?
Crazy.
Thank you that she does always tell us the truth. Thank you, doctor. We always appreciate when an expert weighs in on topics that impact us all. We'll be right back.